Hello everyone and welcome to my instructional website. In this video, I'm going to teach you guys how each piece, what it is and how it moves, how to castle, how to check, and then how to checkmate. So if we're looking at the board right now, we have 8 pawns right here highlighted in green. Each player has 8 pawns. Each player has 2 knights. Each player has 2 bishops. Each player has 2 rooks. And then each player has a queen and then a king. White always moves first, so pawns on the very first move can move up 2 squares. Or if they choose to, they can move up just 1 square. Pawns capture diagonally. A knight is the only piece in the game that can hop over other pieces. A knight can move any direction, backwards or forwards, as long as the square is available. It can go ahead and move forwards or backwards. A bishop, on the other hand, can go ahead anywhere diagonally on the same colored diagonal. So in this case, this would be the dark square bishop. However, the bishop cannot jump over pieces. So the bishop would have to have an opening for it to be played as such. Move these back. We then have the rook. Same thing with the rook. The rook can move any direction except diagonally as many squares as it would like. However, again, it cannot hop over pieces, so it would need to be a clear file for the rook to go ahead and advance. It can also capture in that direction as well. And then lastly, we have the queen. The queen cannot hop over any pieces. It would need a clear path, but the queen can move as many squares in every single direction as such. And then lastly, we have the king. The king can only move in 1 square every direction. And usually the king is activated towards the end of the game. This is called the end game. That's a little bit of how the pieces move. Now I want to kind of get into how you can castle. So I'm going to go ahead and clear the board. I'm going to go ahead and put some pieces here. Now the whole point of a castle is for the king to get to safety. So what you can do is you just click on the king, move it 2 squares to the right, and then the rook goes over here. This is considered a short side castle, right? The only way that you can do this is if the rook has not moved already and the king has not moved already, and nothing is interjecting between the king and the rook. So for example, if a bishop was right here, you could not castle because the bishop is intercepting that castle right there. Now you can also do a long side castle. Go ahead and move it over here. And you can castle this way as well. King moves 2 squares to the left, rook comes right next to it. And as you can see, the king is over here now in this square instead of over here. When it was a short side castle, it came up over there. And this is how you can castle on either side of the board. Now I want to show you guys a little bit about checking a king. In order to check a king, you must go ahead and, for example, if you're using a rook, so white moves, black moves, and then this right here would be considered a check. In order to checkmate a piece, you need at least 2 pieces. So let me put another rook on the board right here. And so, for example, the king would go ahead and move over since it was already in check. I can go ahead and put it in check again. Since this file and this file is occupied, it has to move over here. We're going to go ahead and move our rook over here so we can continue to push the king onto one side of the board. So black moves. And here we go. Check. Check again. It moves over. It moves check again. It has to move over. And this would be considered checkmate, where the king has no available squares to go because it is completely in check the entire time. Thank you for coming to my instructional video. I hope you learned something.